So today we're going to do a little bit more on metadata. We're going to do a little bit of a fun thing. I'm going to show you my Power BI model for the Melbourne Cup, so we can have a look at that. And we're going to talk about a big release announcement from Microsoft overnight. We're going to talk about Power Apps, Flow, and the Common Data Service, just for a bit of fun. I'm only going to touch on that today. We are going to move forward and have a look at that in a bit more depth. So with me today, I've got my head of accounting, Mr. Trevor Shoemakers. I'm the CEO of HubOne, and formally, good morning, Trevor. How are you?
Good morning, Nick. How are you? I'm fantastic. It's a beautiful day.
I'm really impressed. I've just noticed somebody's actually come on from Melbourne. So I am a little bit impressed with that. I didn't think you'd be there. So let's kick off. Let's do the big announcement. Last night, Microsoft announced the general availability of Power Apps, Flow, and the Common Data Model. So let me give you a little bit of an overview to show you how this all hangs together. So I just built something just this morning so that you guys could see some of the magic of this stuff. So I'm just going to present my screen. And as soon as that comes up, I'm going to show you something. I'm not going to show you how to build it. I'm just going to show you something that's a little cool. So let me talk about the scenario to give you some background. So we all know that running a business, social media has a huge impact. People can be negative about us. People can be positive about us. But we really want to respond to those negative comments as quickly as possible. Is that right, Trevor?
That's correct.
Okay.
Straight onto it.
Excellent. So I'm going to show you how we actually do that. And I'm going to show you a couple of things. First of all, you'll see on the screen at the moment, this is my Yammer feed. This is a special group called Engine Notifications. And you see here, there's something saying here, it's from me. It's actually not from me. It's from Microsoft Power Apps, as you can see. It says there's been a good tweet from HubOne saying blah, 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 blah. So there's two types of things we can now see automatically. And if you're actually out there and you have a copy of Twitter, make a tweet, put HubOne in it, and the system will actually pick it up and you'll see it in real time. And what's happening is an application called Flow is running in the background. And Flow is really exciting, I think, for accounting firms because it allows you to automate your business. So let me show you what's actually going on in the background.
So Nick, just what you're saying is you want everybody just to jump onto their Twitter account if they've got one and do a tweet about how they're on the You Don't Know What You Don't Know session today.
But you're going to need to mention HubOne.
Yeah, so you have to do @HubOne with @HubOne. Okay, so let's do that.
Or just have the word HubOne in it. So when people do it, so what happens is we have this thing called a flow. Right, here it is, and I'll show you what it is. And basically, these are really easy to create, and I'll show you what this one does. It says when a new tweet is posted, it's searching for the text HubOne. It's then using something called detect sentiment. And that is using something called machine learning. It's running in the cloud to work out whether this is a good tweet or a bad tweet. And it comes back with a score. And if the score is less than 0.5, it is a bad tweet. And if it's greater than 0.5, it's a good tweet. Right? And kind of in the middle, it doesn't quite know. And so what's happening is it's basically I've said, look for a tweet, detect the sentiment, work out if it's good or bad, and if it's yes, post it here, and if it's no, post it there. And you can build flows to do absolutely anything. If I just go and have a look at some of the templates that are out there, we can do emails when things are added to SharePoint, we can do approvals, we can send ourselves reminders, we can get push notifications. Guys, we can do all sorts of things. This is hugely exciting stuff. But if I go back to Yammer, which is where mine works, okay, so I can see Trevor's posted something now. I'll just refresh my Yammer page to see if that's actually come through. Fingers crossed it has. Otherwise, I'm just lying to you all, which I'm not. Right, okay, we're still waiting. That will come through in a second. So we're going to keep watching that as we go through. It takes a little while to run through the system, and we'll see what happens there. Bobby is saying, is this available in our current Office 365 subscription? And Bobby, I have fantastic news because as of this morning, the answer is yes. Power Apps and Flow, if you have an enterprise subscription, i.e. you're a HubOne subscriber, you get Power Apps and Flow. And the way to find it is you go to the waffle at the top left of any Office 365 section, you scroll down and you'll find Power Apps and Flow. So we've looked at Flow. I'm going to quickly look at Power Apps, which is, I think, even cooler. Power Apps allows you to create applications for your team. Those applications can run on an iPad, on an iPhone, on an Android phone, even on a Windows phone if you have one. And these allow you to create little apps which do things with your data. So what you do is you build, first of all, connections to data. You see I've got cognitive services, my YouTube page, a thing called Bitly. So you basically can add a connection, and there's all these sorts of connections built in. So Box, Dropbox, Dynamics 365, GitHub, I could go on and on and on and on and on about them. There's lots and lots there. If you don't have a connector and your vendor gives you something called a Swagger definition, you can actually connect it to custom APIs if you want to, but we won't go into that too much. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create an app, and I want you to watch this because this is cool. So here's my sample apps. I'm going to create a new one, and I can choose to run it in something called Power Studio for Windows or Power App Studio for Web. I'm going to run the Windows one, which just so happens to be down here. Let me go grab it. I'm just going to go back home to all my apps. Let me just do that. File, new. All right. Okay. Here's Power App Studio. And it allows me to choose any piece of data that I've connected and create an app. And I'm going to use something called the Common Data Service. I'm just going to create a little app. And let's say, for example, I want to create an app which manages all of my leads coming in, because I like sales. Trevor will know from my sales meetings I'm into that, won't you, Trevor?
Yeah, he's into the numbers and the data and the...
Oh, yeah. I'm going to scroll down to lead. I'm going to hit connect. I'm not going to save my changes because I was playing with this before. And that's all I need to do, to build an app which runs on my phone or tablet, which allows me to search for leads, add leads, find leads, and edit leads. And here is my little app. It's all built here. There we go. And you can actually see we've already got some leads in there. And I can actually run this app right now to preview it. So here we go. Let's search for the word Expo. And that will search all my leads. There's the lead there. I can go into it, and there's all the details, and I can even edit it. There it is. I'm actually going to go back. So that tells me all the things about it I want. I'm going to go back. And if I want to create a new lead, I can click Add, and I can just type Bob Smith. Bob, he's new. I'm allowed to email contact him, allowed to phone contact him. He is the boss. He's a person. And we've got it from a default source, and that's it. That's an app running on my phone. How quick and awesome was that?
It's not linked to any data and so forth at this stage. It's just an app that you created to manage leads really quickly.
Great idea, Trevor. You're absolutely right. This is only linked to something called the Common Data Model, which is just a database I've got. But if I want to link it to something, I've already shown you how to do that. We actually use Flow. Right, so there'll be a flow template, and I'll just create one for you right now, just really quickly. So I'm going to create from blank. Right. And we use Dynamics CRM, but it could just as easily be anything else. So I'm going to search for CRM. Oh, Dynamics, you might get it. Dynamics 365, when a record is created, I'm going to choose that. And it will ask me for my organization name, and it should load and find mine. Mine might not, depending on how I've configured it this morning. There's HubOne, right? And I'm going to find a lead. Bear with me, just loading. It's got lots to load here, so we'll give it a second. Here we go. So all the way down to lead. GHIJKL leads. So when a lead is created in CRM, new step, I am going to type in common data service, create a new record. Brilliant. So when a lead is created, I'm going to create a new record in the common data service. It will find my database. There it is. I choose the entity, which will be lead, which we just looked at before. GHI lead. Right, that's it. So when I create a lead in CRM, create it here, and then I can choose which of the different contents and bits and pieces I put in there. So I've got all the different things. So if I want to put in description, I find description, double click. Oh, sorry, single click. There's description in there. And I can add text and filters. I'm not going to do all of that. But it's an easy way. So if I create something here, it creates that. And you just use Flow to manage your data flow around your practice. And that allows me to connect together not just the apps I've shown here, but effectively anything I can turn into a connector, including on-premise servers.
Think something like Workflow Max?
We're certainly working on that at the moment, Trevor. So as you know, we have a bunch of tools which integrate with Workflow Max.
Yep.
So we're working on getting that as a first-class citizen into Flow and Power Apps, and we think we'll have that done over the next couple of weeks, and then, you'll just be able to turn on Workflow Max.
Turn Workflow Max on, create little apps that relate to you, and create. This is the thing. It's about getting data out of databases, one of them being Workflow Max, CRM, those sort of things, and then saying, this is something I'd really like to have on a regular basis, see these things on an application, and picking that up. And that's the big plus of it all, isn't it? But also you can create the lead from your little app. Can you go back the other way?
You can. So you can have a little lead which allows you to, a little app which allows you to create leads, or you could do, some of the things we're looking at building is leads. Oh, look at this. So Tanya's just tweeted, it was a bad tweet because it's got you don't know what you don't know. So that's the sentiment analysis in there, looking at the different things. See, so there's your thing from Tanya. Good tweet from Trevor saying on the session, fantastic. So you look at the way it's working out the sentiments in there, it's working out what is good and bad. So anyway, we can leave that. That's a bit of fun. Okay, make sense?
Excellent.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to show you one other cool thing today because it's my morning for cool things, and then we'll get on to the meat of the session. And this is my Melbourne Cup Power BI dashboard. So I've been playing with data from every bookie I can find, and you'll probably find this a bit difficult to see, but down here...
It's coming through fine.
Excellent. It's predicting, using data from every bookie and every set of odds we can find, that it thinks the winner of the Melbourne Cup this year will be Hartnell. Now, obviously, this is not real advice, right? We've just thrown some data together, so don't go and bet your family fortune on this. But second, it thinks will be our little Australian horse, Jamaica, and third will be Oceanographer. So we'll see at the end of the race this afternoon how Power BI did with just this dodgy thing I threw together. All right?
I was trying to find, Nick, I was trying to find a CSV file from every winner for the last, and there's data files, but I need to get it put into a CSV file, which has the number, the barrier, the age, all of these sort of things, and see what Power BI came up with on that one for this year's
Yeah, well, you can see you live in Melbourne, right? But one of the things that really interested me is we ran this through something called Quick Insights, and it actually found a correlation between UBet and CrownBet. So out of all the different bookmakers, UBet and CrownBet actually seem to be almost identical in how they're doing the odds. So you wonder if it's just another brand name for somebody, right?
Yeah, it's probably owned by Sportsbet, I think it says there.
Yeah, quite possibly. That was some interesting data. So we have some odds by horse, we have all sorts of things, but it's looking like Hartnell. That's really what it's looking like at the moment. Just to give you a bit of a view of that, but just from the odds. So that doesn't actually mean that horse will win.
So if you asked the question up the top and said, "Who's going to win?" It won't tell me.
It won't. No. We could use Cortana and say who will win the Melbourne Cup, and Cortana may know. Let's see if she can find out. No, she's telling me. Oh, Bing predicts. I have a prediction for you.
Yeah.
Here we are. 8.6% chance of winning is Jamaica. Then Oceanographer, then Bondi Beach, then Hartnell, according to Bing.
There you go.
There you are. Isn't that exciting? Anyway, moving past the
We've made my decision now, and I'll come and collect my I'll split you, the winner being Jamaica. I'll put $20 on it, and we'll split it, hey?
If you win, it was my idea. If you don't, nothing to do with it. Yeah. Brilliant. Let's go play with some metadata, shall we, Trevor?
Let's go play with some metadata. So I'm going to open up my, first I'm going to share my screen.
You're going to share your screen? You can demonstrate to us? That'd be wonderful.
That would be cool. And you're going to help me work with my data.
I'll try. Yeah, guys, you have to realise sometimes there really is a problem between the back of the chair and the keyboard here, but we'll see what we can do.
You know, we're going to have a big chat about this, about, you know, this rubbish you hang on us accountants, because there are more of us on the call than you.
Yeah, good point.
And we need to love accountants, not give them a hard time.
They're awesome.
So we're going to go into Document Center, and firstly, everybody on the call, has anybody started working with metadata on their documents and adding metadata on the way in and so forth like that? Is there anybody that has been using it just to get a bit of an idea of so the guys from Business DNA have been working on it. I had, I don't know if Louise is on from up at Noosa Accounting, but we had a session yesterday and she's very keen to get moving and using the metadata rather than using folders. So
I will say if you've got 4 minutes, so you're going to need to do this as
better move fast. So remembering, firstly, what I want to quickly show you is run through. Remembering now, we can add metadata. We also have under Scan Document Manager. Scan Document Manager will allow you to add metadata. So if you haven't been upgraded to version 4.5, and I think released today was 4.5.2, and that will automatically update when you open the application again. So all of our apps automatically update now. And you can, by opening up when you open it for the first time in the morning, it will probably go through and create that. We won't worry about that at this stage. We can add documents using Template Manager or metadata when we create documents using Template Manager. We can see we can tick the box there and it'll add the metadata in. Just at this stage, in order to add metadata using Template Manager, you need to use Windows Explorer. The guys are working on getting that fixed up. But at this stage it only works on that. And our Mail Manager solution also adds metadata. Now, one of the good things with metadata is we also, if you remember when we did the training the other week, we just need to click on the Documents tab, and that opens up our metadata fields, and it creates the new view. Now, what I'm going to work with Nick on, is we're going to create a different view for our metadata. So we might want to add some other things in. So he's been asking me, what sort of information do you want to have out of your data? And I've been pinging a few things, and we've been running around in circles. So, if anybody's got anything that they think that they would like to get out, put it in the add it to the message box. And we'll see if we can work on that, but we'll go through a few other views. So when you click on the Document Center, we normally have Template Manager will fire up on the right-hand side. If you click on the Documents tab, that then removes Template Manager and allows you to see your metadata fields that you've put in. And then we've created a new view called the Metadata View that allows me to see my metadata for my entire documents. Now, when we created that view, I didn't want to have any folders, so I removed the folders from it, and then I get all my metadata in the view, and I can just work my way through it and add the fields for things that are missing and so forth. The other part that we can do is I can click on plus, and I can add any other column type that I want to add in there. So let's say I wanted to add some text in, and I wanted to see, I just wanted to know if it's a tax return. And I can go into here and say, yep, that's a tax return. Now, I could even do a yes, no, probably would be a better thing to do. And then I can go through and add all my fields into that. Firstly, what I could do is I could say export to Excel, and then I could actually in real time start to sort my data and add fields in there. So say, for example, I wanted to say, yep, that's a tax return for every client or the types of tax returns. Then I can start to add up and work on my data. But when I export to Excel, does that keep the data? Is that keep the link?
Yes, it does, because it's actually an iQuery. So that's actually live with SharePoint Online. So as you edit the data in Excel, if you have rights, it will edit the data, the metadata in your list. So you could just take it all to Excel, then edit it in Excel, hit save, and that will actually share that data back to SharePoint Online and update all of your fields.
Do I need to be in Windows Explorer? Maybe that's what was causing me
Internet
Explorer.
Yeah, so you have a little bit of fun doing that sometimes with Chrome. So sometimes you need to use IE, and I know that's starting to improve. So they're doing some rollouts across the platform that will fix that. I'm mindful of time, Trevor. It's 22 minutes past 11, and we try and keep this to 20 minutes every day. Yep. So we've done a lot today. What I think we've got to look at here is we've got to look at some ways you're going to use it. What we need to do for our next session is actually work 5 key scenarios for accounting firms. So we're going to talk about how do I find all of this year's data? how do I find tax returns, and how do I take old data and archive it? Would that be useful?
That would be absolutely awesome. So
Sure,
creating a flow to grab a document and say that something. What about things like permanent? So you could go in and say, well, before you did that, you could mark a document permanent so that it doesn't get removed out of the system. And then
certainly we can do that. We can do that with retention policies. But the other thing I want to show is using metadata inside your documents as well as outside on this list.
Yeah, that one's a bit freaky, but we'll do that. That one's sort of like bending my brain a bit too, because I've been sort of trying to work on how we can use that and what's the most useful scenario with that. So just on what we were talking about is by creating your letters and so forth, and within your letters, grabbing data from within those letters. And of course, I then say to Nick, well, can't I just grab that taxable income and tax estimate straight out of the tax return, but that's a PDF, so we start to run into trouble with those sort of things. So it's about.
Actually, I will say, and I'm not. Don't quote me on this, but as I was looking through the Flow and Power App stuff this morning, I found PDF as a data source. So we might actually be able to do some neat stuff here, but bear with me while I play with it.
So that's where we could go through, identify a tax return. What's a tax return within there, say, and then identify data being taxable income or something like that.
Yep.
Awesome. Just on one thing, just looking at my data there, just reminded me of one thing. Remember when you're saving your documents and you're not using folders, that you need to probably make, our applications will always add a file name in that works. So looking at my area there, I've got a PDF called Annual Report 2012. Now, I don't know, because it's not in a folder, one of the things we used to is saying, oh, I'm going to put that in a folder, and now, in my case, I know that that's Turnitin, and I put it into Turnitin 2011 folder, but I've gone and called the document Annual Report 2012, so 2011, so it doesn't tell me what it is. Because we can search for documents, I would have found it, but when we want to start using the data, we probably need to just be a bit careful now when we think about those naming protocols, and remembering all of our apps all provide those naming protocols on when the documents go in. So that's all there. So, but just some things that I've been seeing as we're going through and starting to work and using our documents a little bit more in our systems. Hey, we've covered that off. Everybody have an awesome day. If you're going off to the Cup, or you're going to watch it and have the afternoon off, good luck. Look after yourself. If you are heading anywhere that's and having a few beverages, don't go too hard, because you've all got to work tomorrow. That was one thing I used to always forget about on Cup Day. I think they should have had Cup Day and the day off the day after the Cup Day, not the day of. But anyway, have a fantastic day. Thank you so much again, Nick, for joining us on the call. We're learning so much. This stuff on Flow and Power Apps it's probably a little bit daunting for us all. We all sit there thinking, well, we don't want to become programmers, but I think the big plus of that is you don't have to be a programmer as such to use this technology and create your own apps.
Over the next few months, we're going to do more and more sessions where we actually solve real accounting issues with the tech. We're not going to be teaching you how to. We're not going to be giving you fish. We're going to be teaching you how to. And this will. If you can get your heads around this, it's like Excel macros. It will really improve how you work in your business. But hey, it's almost 11:30, and I know everyone's going to rush off to things, so thank you so much for being here today. Watch the HubOne Twitter account, which is going to be talking about how we did in the Melbourne Cup. We're going to post this to YouTube, so make sure you go to our YouTube channel, like the video and subscribe. That helps us get more hits and helps us help more accountants. Thank you for your day. Thank you for your time. Trevor, see you later.
Thank you, Nick. See you then.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.